There's something extremely important happening within a couple of hours. And interestingly enough, it's a simple one. Bitcoin can actually, for the first time in I don't know how long, close above $35,000. And it can close the weekend as, well, that's what's closing within a couple of hours. So that could mean heading into the next week, all right, stock market opening, things starting to go wild again. We have Bitcoin above 35,000. That could be insane. Right now, we're just about $60 off. So that's the little battle that we are fighting right now. And to me, it's actually quite interesting to see Bitcoin's monthly performance, just to see how flat it's been with a slight upwards trajectory. But just to put the record straight here, that will be the first time that Bitcoin closes above $35,000 since May of 2022. So we're breaking records here. I mean, last week we already broke records. It was pretty amazing, but you want to keep breaking them, right? You want to continue on the bullish bandwagon. Now, one thing I will address here really briefly is that we've gotten some pretty good gains in right here, guys. You can see from this bottom, we're up almost 130-ish% or so. And in the meantime, there have been a couple of slight pullbacks, right? As you can see here, we went up about 65% before coming down a bit, and we did that on multiple occasions. I want you guys to realize that there's a very good chance that Bitcoin at some point in the near future is going to have a slight little pullback again. We don't know where that top is going to be. It could very well be that the pullback is going to go towards some highs that we actually saw previously. So for example, towards $31,000, somewhere in that ballpark. And I want you guys to understand the reason you want these pullbacks, by the way, is because otherwise your gains are unsustainable for the most part. What I mean is, if you don't keep coming back, might kind of sound strange, but it's the truth. You're not as certain it's going to last. But if every single time after you get a massive pump, you see the price trickle down where it again finds the demand and starts to come back up, now going even higher, you have a bull trend that's more sustained, backed up with something rather than just one crazy green god wick, for example. Now, putting that into perspective, Charlie Munger says he's concerned about the recent surge in Bitcoin price. Berkshire Hathaway's vice chairman, Charlie, talked about Bitcoin again in his latest statement. When asked if Bitcoin's rapidly rising price was a cause for concern, he said, "Of course it worries me." He explained his basic ideas, which he said he believed every educated person should have. These ideas include the teachings of Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, who emphasized the importance of individuals taking better care of their own property than that of others. He underlined the important role of currencies in facilitating exchange and advancing civilization. Quote, "As far as we know, the only way to go from hunter-gatherer to civilization that has ever worked is to have a strong currency. This currency can take many forms," he noted, from seashells or corn kernels to gold coins and banking system pledges as seen in the US and UK. And he is not a fan of this artificial currency like Bitcoin. He likened it to throwing a stinky marble at a long-standing recipe that works well for many people. And my thoughts on this right here is, I understand the price action can be scary because it goes up so hard so quickly, which is why you obviously want your retest. You obviously want it to get backed up significantly more. But this also forgets the true purpose as to why Bitcoin came around, and crypto as a concept, really, why it's just so much better. It's just for a lot of the purposes that he might not think about. I mean, if you are in control of a lot of the banking system, perhaps the checks that normal people would have don't apply to you. I still think they do. He just doesn't care about them anymore. But let's just say I want to send $1 million to somebody. The amount of rigorous investigation and call, perhaps a confirmation email and this, that, I'd have to go through is rather annoying. Perhaps not with 1 million, but let's just call it $5.5 million. Depending on how your relationship is with your bank, this might be the hardest thing you've ever done. Depends on which bank, which country, by the way. Some banks are very simple. But with crypto, it's just a matter of, I want to send money to somebody, click, it's sent, by the way. It's just so simple, the idea that you can move money frictionlessly around the world. And obviously some cryptos do it better. That's why they came around. But the core philosophy is pretty much the same throughout the board. Anyway, something else that's quite interesting, because of course we've got ourselves this close in the Bitcoin chart that we're all watching, we actually got ourselves something interesting Friday. A Fed Chair Jerome Powell speech yet again before the inflation is coming in hot again, Tuesday, November 14th. It actually feels like inflation was just last week, but I guess sometimes, time flies. Always important, because this is sometimes a very easy way to make a quick trade for tons of profit, because the price just gets so volatile around those numbers coming out. And I saw another interesting article. Crypto executives in the US, regulators spotlight who's next. I want you to understand that right now, the narrative for Bitcoin and for crypto as a concept is extremely positive. There's almost nothing that's able to stop it. We've got ourselves the halving. We've got ourselves these ETFs coming up. And the price backs up all that logic. The only thing I'm warning people of right now is in case one of these regulators decides to pull a sticky one on us. And what that means is that one of these regulators decides to wake up one day and be like, you know what? It's time to get beat up by a little lawsuit or just a complaint of sorts. And it can happen. Gary Gensler has definitely done crazier things in his career. And I want you guys to be aware of that the whole summer here, this crypto summer, can be put on a little halt if some crazier investigation pops up. I mean, you guys got to consider, if one bad thing happens to Tether or Binance, that's actually bad, it hurts the entire crypto market. And one little side note I'll give is I just saw this article. This is so sad. A user loses almost $600,000 in Bitcoin by downloading a fake Ledger Live app. So Ledger is this hardware wallet that a lot of us use, and they've got themselves apps, but apparently somebody thought they also had an app on the Microsoft App Store. He downloaded it and it was a fraud. Person lost his money. Heavy lesson to learn, 13.5 Bitcoin. And my thoughts on this is, if you get your money stolen in a way like this, it's purely about education. Because for me nowadays, it's so easy to spot which app is real, which one is fake, because I've gone through it so much. But if you can't, a simple story is as follows. If it's got 1 rating, don't even go for it, my friend. Always check online if the app you're trying to go for actually is by the guys that are supposed to develop the app. Meaning, I never really like to download crypto exchange apps, for example, because I'm thinking, you don't know up front which of these exchanges actually has an app in the App Store or which ones only have a copied version. Because it does not mean just because you see the name of whatever you're trying to download in the App Store that it's officially from the same founder. Sometimes faulty ones like this can get through, even though there is prevention. But yeah, another one is just never insert your private key or your backup passwords, etc. into new apps. Because in theory, if this person just set up a device freshly through this new app, nothing would have happened either. It's just that he tried to get his money that he already had somewhere else back or whatever. Sad. But yeah, let that act as a warning. And that's about it for right now. Hopefully see you guys again very, very shortly.